All right, welcome back to Shake Hands with Destiny, where our whole theory is what? I only shake hands with my destiny if you shake hands with your destiny. So we are back for not one, two, but the third series of how to dispute charge-offs. But tonight we're going to be talking about how to dispute charge-offs when you have a 1099-C. Okay. So, and just to give you a little preview, if you go back, and I will put that in the comments, what we did on part one, which we basically did how do you dispute a charge off when you do not have a 1099-C, and I will explain what a 1099-C is as well. And in that particular part one, and I'll go ahead and pin it in here in the notes, and I'll pin it here at the end of this video as well, which we talked about how do you know what a charge off is, how do you use AI to actually identify your factual disputes that you have on your account. So you can use places like ChatGPT to find out what kind of errors you have. But we also went through the procedures that you should go through, meaning a procedural investigation must come first, okay, where you're not disputing anything, but you're asking for a procedural investigation, which is ultimately just saying, hey, I have some errors on my account, which you're not going to tell them what errors you have, but you're going to ultimately just say, I got some errors on my account and I want to be reinvestigated, in procedural investigation. Of course, did they investigate this the right time the first time around? No. Why? Because they make millions and millions and billions of dollars to report this stuff, and they do not accurately report this. And the whole thing with 15 USC 1681 says they have to do, the law says they have to do it accurate. If it's anything is inaccurate or incomplete or unverifiable, it must come off your report. So therefore, you must do a procedural investigation first, then you do a reinvestigation, then you send off what you call a factual dispute, and then you send off a fourth dispute, okay, if needed, if need be, and you can always do a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau complaint as well. What we talked about in part two, we actually talked about how you sue the credit bureaus a little bit or position yourself. I'm not here to tell anybody to sue, but the average lawsuit won against them is $4,800 in 2022 for having inaccuracies on your credit report. 9 out of 10 of us, I'm not saying that's a fact, 9 out of 10, but majority of us have inaccuracies on your credit report that are still being reported inaccurately over and over and more repeatedly. And at the end of this, we will have some Q&A. Obviously, go ahead, get in the community. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment the word Destiny and I'll send you a link as well. So without further ado, we're going to get into tonight's part three, which is how do you dispute charge-offs when you have what you call a 1099-C. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully my microphone stays working here tonight. Let's see here. Right. And if somebody can come off mute or throw in the chat if you can see my screen. You should be able to see it so I don't do the whole thing there. And I believe you should see how to dispute charge-offs. And you should see me in the corner or something like that. Just throw it in the chat if you can.
Yes.
So how do you dispute charge-offs with a 1099-C? And a lot of us going, what the heck is a 1099-C? What that is a 1099-C is a cancellation of debt, which is given from the IRS, okay? Anything that's $600 or more. What does that mean? Let's say, for an example, you had a cell phone from Verizon and they wrote it off. They gave you a 1099-C. Now, can you have a charge off without having a 1099-C? Yes. Many times they will charge off the debt, quote unquote, without doing a 1099-C. That's so they can then sell it to a collection agency or make a little bit of money on the back end, is the reason they do that. But the proper way is to have it do a cancellation of debt where they have to actually file this with the IRS. Okay. It's where now they're paying, you do have to pay taxes on that. So let's say, for example, it was $1,000 cell phone. What happens is if it was $1,000 cell phone, they write that off. Now that's going to be taxable income to you, and you would have to pay taxes on that $1,000. Okay. For example, if you had a $20,000 car and a credit card and it was a cancellation of debt, yes, you would have to then pay taxes on that. However, there is some exemptions to that where you can file insolvency, which I'll talk about here as well, where you don't have to pay taxes. But again, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in depth, where you can't have income on your actual credit report and you can't have a debt. But that's what a 1099-C is. It's a form from the IRS. Okay. Now, when do creditors issue a 1099-C? Most of us, or most people, would have a 1099-C when a charge off, when the creditor writes off the actual charge off because of a past due debt, as a i.e. you didn't pay the $1,000 to Verizon. Okay. So that's where you would get a 1099-C. There are some other exceptions where, let's say, you get that settlement offer in the mail from the actual creditor who owns the account, and instead of you paying $1,000 to Verizon for that phone, they offered you to say, you know what, can I pay $200 and we'll balance it out at zero? Yes, but what happens is they will sometimes write off and give a 1099-C for the unpaid balance, so you still have to pay the taxes on the remaining $800, using that example. In some cases, if you had a repossession or a foreclosure and they sold that property and there was a loss on the property, that's another reason why they can give what you call a 1099-C at that particular case. Or in case of a bankruptcy, ordinarily once the bankruptcy is discharged, it shouldn't be taxable at that time. Okay. So that's kind of just when you would have a 1099-C. Okay. Now keep this in mind. Y'all know I hate doing these slides, but I take a long time doing them. So if you ever need to if you're not in our community already, take some screenshots. If you're in our community already, you have full access to all of the templates, all of the ebooks, all of the courses, all of the classes that I'm doing here as well. I shouldn't say all, but in most cases you have access to many of what I'm showing here as the edible templates. Okay, so a charge off. Why is a charge off cannot remain on your credit report after a 1099-C? Well, first of all, they cannot coexist. If you ever look at your credit report, there's a ton of stuff on your credit report, but it's one little thing that's missing. It's called your income. Your income is not actually on your credit report, because according to the law with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you cannot have income on your actual credit report. So the minute I just explained, when they give you a 1099-C, what is that? It's called income. This is the reason how we're going to get the charge off with a 1099-C off of your credit. I love to see charge offs when you have an actual 1099-C form, because they remove just like that in about 2 weeks time frame. Okay. So that's the reason that you cannot have a charge off on your credit and have a 1099-C. So if you got that 1099-C form that they sent you in the mail, or we're going to talk later on, a lot of times people going, I have no clue if I have a 1099-C. No worries, I got you. Okay. So, but according to the IRS tax code 26 US code 61A12 states that the cancellation of debt is considered income. So I want to make sure y'all ain't just thinking I'm telling you this. That's the law. Okay. And it should be recorded as that, reported as that, as such. You cannot own a debt simultaneously and have it counted as taxable income. This is known as double liability, which is again illegal, okay, or legally incorrect. Okay, you can't do that. Legal responses why a charge off must be removed once a 1099-C is issued. Because again, that's why you're watching this video here. That's why you're in these Zooms and these classes, because we want to get that charge off removed so we can go get the money, and so we can make more money with the money. We want to purchase assets over liabilities. Keep that always in the back of your head. That's what we teach here. Again, so a 1099-C confirms the debt is forgiveness. Okay, the IRS defines canceled debt as taxable income, again, as I said, meaning the creditor has officially written off the debt, which I just explained. I kind of referenced this, but just keep this in the back of your mind, what the law says, what I put in green down there. Gross income includes income from a discharge of indebtedness. Again, I want to keep reiterating, this is once you have a 1099-C, you got money in your hands, which cannot be on your credit report. It don't make sense. It's a wait a minute. You talking about I owe you some money, but then I got money. It don't make sense. I'm paying taxes on it. Okay, so you can't have both. All right, so let's keep going. I hope I'm showing the right screen. Let's see. Okay, got it. There we go. All right. Let's pop in the next one here. If the IRS considers forgiveness as income, you can legally still owe it. Okay. Keep that in mind. You can be for if the IRS considers forgiveness amount as income, you cannot, I'm sorry, legally still owe it. Okay, as I just said, I had to repeat myself there. Since credit reports are meant to reflect actual financial liabilities, a charge-off should be removed from your credit, as we just said. All right, so I want to get into the meat. I wanted to give you guys the legal parts of this here. So now you can fully understand it. And if you want to take a screenshot here, this is just another law where the creditor issues a 1099-C but still reports as a charge-off, creates false and misleading reporting. Again, that's according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So everything here, if you ever want to take a screenshot of this is all legal. A person shall not furnish any information related to a consumer or a consumer reporting agency if the person knows or has reasonable cause to believe that the information is incorrect. So don't y'all, let me tell you what that means in English. If they gave you a 1099-C, how they gonna collect on the debt? Why do you think many times they don't mail the 1099-C, but they still got the charge off on your what? Credit report. Because they trying to write it off on one end and collect on the back door. That stuff is illegal, y'all. Please understand that the credit reporting agencies, we call them credit bureaus, but they're not a bureau. They're not government agencies, meaning Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. Those are private entities that make billions and millions of dollars. They're private, as well as these companies are private. Okay. This is why when I talked about last week, you can many times people sue for violations. Each violation on your credit report is you can sue up to $1,000 per violation. So sometimes if they're committing 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 violations, you count up those $1,000. That's why the average comes to $4,800. Okay, which again, I'm not telling you to sue, but it is very easy to do without you having to go to court, without you having to get an attorney. And I showed you all of that last week and how to write a demand letter, and I even have those in the templates as well. Okay, so let's keep going. Credit reporting must reflect zero balance after a 1099-C. Many times on your credit report, I'm not going to pull up a credit report right this minute, but if you look under balance, and I went over this under week 1, so go ahead and watch that first video that I'll post it under here as well, and it'll be at the end of this video as well. Go ahead and watch that first video, which I have credit reports that I'm sharing. And in those credit reports, it particularly shows you where the balances are showing a balance on a charge off. Okay. Now, a balance can be a charge off if they haven't written a 1099-C or if they have not transferred or sold the particular debt. So if you're looking on your credit report, you're like, okay, why Verizon got me still owing $1,000 to them and they got a 1099-C? That's what they're talking about here within the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or even in Metro 2 guidelines. That's illegal. They must zero out the balance. Okay. Not only must they zero out the balance, they can't even report this. Okay. So why does that matter? The balance is not up to zero. It misrepresents and it's true. It's inaccuracies at that particular time. So that's why I got here at the bottom. If the balance is not updated to zero, it misrepresents your true financial obligation. I.e., what does that mean? It means if you're going to get a vehicle or you're going to get a car, your interest rate could be higher. Or if you're going to get a house or anything like that, your debt ratio is now what? Higher, because it has you on a higher amount, which in actuality, a 1099 is what? A cancellation of debt forgiveness, meaning it should be back at zero. So this is how when you start to sue, you sue for actual damages because you were denied for credit, because you did have higher interest rate, because it did cause financial harm. Okay, so you see how this is all tying together, folks, when you watch when you put all this together. Now, what I may do is put all three videos all in one particular video. It'll be a rather long video, but I may do that just for y'all here in the YouTube world. Okay, so let's keep going. A 1099-C stops all collection activities, the Fair Debt Collection Practice Act. Okay, so let's go here. Once a 1099-C is issued, the creditor has legal cancellation of the debt. And I got a lot of legal terms in here, guys, and I want you to just take the screenshots here, but I'm going to give you to the nuts and bolts here in about 2 minutes of how we actually going to find this with the IRS. How do we know if we got a 1099-C? Okay, but again, these are some of the other laws and why it matters. If a 1099 cancels the debt, then the reporting balance or the continued collection efforts, it misrepresents. Again, it's illegal. Okay, according to here. Again, so what's your takeaways here? Okay, remember I told you earlier, I said, let's just say you do have a 1099-C and you did have something that was, we do find something that was cancellation of debt. You like, oh my goodness, they sent me this form and I didn't pay these people $5,000. Now I got to pay taxes on $5,000. I'm not going to get my refund check, which that would be correct. You can go here to the IRS and any of my things here, I'm always going to have clickable links in all of my ebooks. Okay, so even in this ebook, if you get this ebook, all you got to do is click here. As you can see, I'm hovering over it here. It's going to go right to the IRS, and it's going to go, and you want to download form 982, which is, you want to you can always get with your account or anything like that, but it's where you can be insolvent. Okay, where your debts are greater than your assets is what that means. Okay, but you want to fill out a form 982. Okay, and just keep this in mind. You may not have to pay taxes on the canceled debt, so I don't want you to stress yourself out over that. All right, so let's keep going. Hold on a second. All right, the fastest way to check. Let me tell you how we're going to check for this thing. The fastest way to check to see if you have a 1099-C. Of course, if they've already mailed you one or you know for a fact, you just pull it out. You're like, I think I did get a different form. A lot of times we'll think they're I can't think of 1099 when you're a 1099 employee, but this is a 1099-C, a cancellation of debt. Okay, so if you got some kind of form at the end of the year and you talking about a 1099, and I'm like, well, I didn't even work nowhere. I'm a W-2 employee. What does this 1099 say I got for $1,500? That means you probably had a charge off. Even if you can't find that form, I'm going to show you how to get it here, and it's again over $600. All right, so this is what you want to do step by step and going to the IRS.gov. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here in just a second because you want to go here to the IRS. Oh, no, I didn't have to stop. Okay. Then you want to go to sign into my account. Then you want to go to individual here, sign into my account. And then what you want to do is you're going to have to, most likely, unless you work for the government already, you may already have a sign in with your ID.me. If not, you have to create an ID account here, and it'll ask you to create one here if you have not done that. Okay, so that's what you want to do first. All right, I lost my presentation, so give me just a second here. Give me just a second. I'm gonna stop sharing for just a second. I totally lost my presentation, so give me a minute. I'm sorry. That's what happens when you hit these buttons. All right. Oh, give me just a second. I'm sorry, folks. There we go. Now let me go back and share my screen. That's what happens when you got 3 screens. Things go all over the place. All right, we back sharing. Okay. All right, so you want to go to IRS.gov, and I got it all laid out here for you. Normally I'll do screenshots, but I just wanted to lay it all out here in English for you so you can always take screenshots, okay? Sign into your account. Um, if you don't have one, I told you that, create one. You'll need your ID. You'll need your driver's license or a valid ID, like your passport or either your driver's license, along with your social security number, okay, to verify your identity. Now, this is very important right here. You have to follow these steps to know if you have a 1099-C, okay? To access your tax records, okay? You want to once logged in, you want to take a screenshot here. You want to go to tax records or view tax transcripts. Keep this in mind. Every single tax year is going to be in here that you've ever had made any money. So don't get terrified, okay? You're going to click on get transcript online, okay? Then the next thing is what you want to do is go under reason for request. You want to select other. Then you want to go to federal taxes. Okay, I didn't totally. I got a typo right there. My apologies. Okay. Then the next thing, you want to look under wage and income transcript. Then you want to look under whatever the current year. So if you unsure when that charge off was that's on your thing, just go back, because you want to go back probably 2 years maybe or something like that, 3 years, just to see what year it could have been. I would check anywhere from your present year and go back a couple of years, okay? And then you want to of course download that transcript, check the 1099-C to see if it's listed under other income, okay? If the 1099-C was issued, you'll see the creditor's name on there, okay? So if it was Verizon Wireless, you're going to see Verizon Wireless on there. Or sometime if it's owned by a subsidiary or something like that, you could sometimes see a different name on there, but that's why you want to always get all your account names and everything like that all together. Now that you got that, request a copy of your 1099 receipt if needed. Let's say if you done looked on there and you don't see it, okay? If you do not see your 1099-C, you can call the IRS at this number right here and request a copy, or you can call by mail and request a copy. If you just thinking that you had one, you thinking in the back of your head, you know what, I think I had a dang on 1099-C. You want to go ahead and call them, or you want to fill out the form 4506T, and that'll give you one by mail. Okay. Now the next thing, can you actually call the creditors to get a 1099-C? Can you call them and say, hey, I have a 1099. Did y'all file a 1099-C? This is for the company that's filing it as a charge off on your account. Okay. Yes is the answer. Yes, you can call them if you suspect. Okay, but there's some key things that you need to do. Okay. If you're gonna call them, if it's a charge off and it's still listed on your credit card report, but you believe the debt was canceled, you want to call them. If you receive a 1099-C in prior years, but you don't have a copy, meaning I do remember filing my taxes that one time, and it seemed like it was a weird form that I had with my papers, and I just didn't put it on the tax form, or I put it on the tax form, okay? I just didn't know what it was. It was a minuscule amount. It was $1,200, and now you paid You didn't know what you was paying $1,200 on. That was a 1099-C that you were paying taxes on. Okay. If you want to confirm whether the creditor filed a 1099-C with the IRS, you can call them. So it's some specific things that you want to ask when you get them on the telephone now. Okay. If the balance is still reported as owed, that's another thing if you suspect the debt was forgiven. Okay. And again, if I'm giving you a lot here, again, this is more laws in this one, but the moral of the story is don't get mixed up in all of the lingo that I was talking about early on. The main thing is once you get a 1099-C, we got them. We're going to get this off, and I'm going to show you here in a minute. Okay. So how do you request a 1099-C? Okay. By phone. Okay. First thing is what you want to do. Get your information. So have the account name, the creditor's name. You want to have your account name, the balance, the charge off date. whatever it says on your credit report, you want to have all that together. Get your name, address, your date of birth, all of that stuff. Okay. You want to call, ask for the billing or taxing or the tax department. When you do call, you can take a screenshot here if you like. And you want to call them, say, hey, my name is this, Joe. I'm calling about an account. I even put a whole script right there for you, what you want to say. Okay. So you have no reason not to be able to call them if you wanted to. If you want, once you get them on the line, you want to ask, did you issue a 1099-C for this account? That's the first question. What was the cancellation date and the amount reported? Third, can you provide a copy of the 1099-C by way of mail or email to me? 4, no 1099-C was issued. If no 1099-C was issued, if the debt was still being collected or owned, you want to ask, is it being collected or owned by another company, i.e. it was Verizon that had it? Did y'all basically sell this collection to another collection agency is what you want to basically, that's what you're saying. If they say the debt was sold to a collection agency, because they could have sold it over here to, this is Verizon, they could have sold it over to Portfolio Recovery. That's what you want to ask, okay? All right, what if the creditor refuses, okay, to give you the 1099-C? What you want to do then is, obviously, I showed you already how to check with the IRS. You can send a written request as well. Or again, you can ask that for that written request from the IRS with the 4506, which I just went back. But again, I would check that first, okay? So let's keep going. What if the 1099-C was issued, but the charge off is still on your credit report, okay? Once a 1099-C is issued, again, y'all, the balance should be updated to $0. You shouldn't have a balance there. No further collections. I've stated that several times. Dispute the charge off, which I'm going to show you how to dispute this here in just a second. Dispute the charge off with the credit bureau, citing that the 1099-C was issued, making the debt illegal and canceled. Send a legal demand letter, which I'm going to show you here in just a second. You can send a CFPB report. Man, I missed a lot of letter words. Correction right here. I apologize. I'm missing, I guess I was pasting something over to the program, guys. I apologize. So if you see some misspelled words and they're missing some letters, I'm still human. All right, so you can escalate to the CFPB, okay, which I'm going to show you how to do a report with them. So now that you got a 1099, okay, I'm going to show you a letter, okay? You got your 1099, you got it either by email, by mail, or you print it off from the IRS. You got it in the mail, okay? The first thing is what you want to always remember. You want to send this certified mail. Why? Because you know when they received it, okay? If they do not respond within 15 days, you want to escalate this to the CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, as well as the Federal Trade Commission, okay? So this here is the letter. I'm going to zoom in here. Hopefully you guys can see that on my screen, okay? This here is just a sample. For those in the YouTube, I'm going to just take before I read it, I'm going to let you just see that first page, okay? Here we go. So basically what this letter is going, this is a sample letter. Those that's already in our community, all you got to do is simply edit this. It's completely downloadable, and you edit where you see the highlights at. All you're going to do with the highlights is simply where it's highlighted, you're going to fill that in. The red, you're going to erase, okay? So basically what this is I'm writing regarding an account. This was a charge off, subsequently reported to the credit bureaus. I recently obtained a 1099-C cancellation of debt with issued by your company, which indicates that the debt was forgiven reported as taxable income per the IRS regulations, okay? Then you want to scroll down here. I just gave all of those laws that the reason that I was going through some of those laws, because that is what's cited on your actual letter that's going to get this removed, okay? And so you want to just cite some of those to put in your letter, which of course this is your letter right here. You can use this particular letter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move down to outside of the laws. Some income down to here, since some income cannot appear on credit report as a debt, The charge-off must be removed immediately. A debt cannot be considered forgiveness for tax purposes while still being reported as an active charge-off. This is clear case of double liability, which is both misleading and inaccurate. So what am I doing in my formal request? Immediately update the account to 0 and stop reporting to the credit bureaus. Okay, if you cannot verify this debt and it is still legally owed, you must delete. If you cannot verify that this debt is still being legally owed, you must delete the charge off. Again, we already know once you have the 1099-C, we know what the answer is already. Okay, so just for those that's on YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and just let you see the second part to that letter. Hold on one second. The second part to that letter, the second page, I'm going to zoom in so you can just see that there. I want proven written confirmation that this request has been made within how long? According to the law, it must be done in 15 days. Okay. So those that's in the community already, literally your credit can be cleaned up. Charge off. A charge off, it should not be 30 days in between letters, guys. Okay. A charge off should not be taking you 30 days to send them off. I've told you last week, and I'll just, in case you missed it, you always want to sign up with TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, and sign up for their free program. And the reason that you're doing that, so you can track your disputes online. So what that means is once they receive a letter, they always respond online first. You don't have to wait for the snail mail. So once they respond, you send off your next letter. So if you were sending off, if this was not a 1099-C issue, this was a non-1099-C, a non-1099, a charge off that didn't have a 1099-C, that was a tongue twister. I apologize. If that was the case and you were sending off a procedural letter, investigation letter, and if they respond in 7 days, you immediately send off the next letter, and then so on and so on. So this should be done. This shouldn't be taking 6 months to do it. This should be taking 6 weeks to do it, hopefully. Okay. You can have charge off removed, and I've showed everybody in our community how to get collections off in 24 to 72 hours sometimes. Okay. So getting your credit cleaned up can take as little as 2 and 3 months, and you should be good to go. I mean, worst case should be 6 weeks, 6 months. Okay. So let's keep going. Dispute letter 2. I wanted you to go ahead and take a picture here. I'll blow it up so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. So right here, we have the second dispute. Basically, this is basically saying I previously sent a formal dispute to you on X date. The reason that you want to send that letter certified, because you know exactly when they received it, which is right here, the account number and so forth. And here's all of the, basically a rebuttal of what I said the first time, but I get a little bit more heavy in saying I will definitely be going to the CFPB in this case and the Federal Trade Commission, and you may even see me in court. So I just wanted you to take a picture of that one, and I'm gonna let you see the second page to it. As I said, I told you I got a little bit more upset there, and I apologize. My little Coco back there barking. Yeah, she mad at something. Be quiet, Coco. All right, so right here, you're taking your pictures here. And remember here, I put something at the bottom here. Enclosures, okay? Remember to always send your first, if this is your second letter, send your original dispute letter, yes. Then you want to send a copy of your 1099-C form, yes. Certified mail, your receipt from the first one, yes. And also a new credit report showing that it's still on there, okay? So let me go ahead and zoom out of that one. So you got your picture there. So now, if they still fail to report this, okay, what you want to do is file a complaint through the CFPB and the Federal Trade Commission, okay? And I'm going to show you here. Normally I do a screenshot, but I wanted to show you here how to actually file your actual CFPB complaint, okay? Here's the steps. You might want to take a screenshot here, okay? You want to get all your information. You want to get your 1099-C form, your credit report showing it, yes. Previous dispute letters, so any letters that you sent or any correspondence that they've sent you, okay. Creditor's response, the certified mail receipts as well. Then you want to go, once you go file, if you're going to file this online with the CFPB, you want to go to their website. You want to go to start a new complaint. Then you want to choose the category of credit reporting. Then you want to select the issue of incorrect information on your report. And those is already in the community. I have a video of how to do this as well to give you more hands-on. Hey, y'all, join the community, okay? Comment the word destiny. Get in this community. There's some amazing things going on, okay? All right, so let's keep going. So you want to select the problem. Information belongs to me, but it's incorrect. And right here, this is what you want to do when it comes up to the complaint summary. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. Uh-oh. I apologize. I can't zoom in without it being, that's as large as I'm going to be able to zoom in. Uh-oh. Sorry, let me go back. That's the largest. So you can take a screenshot here. And what this is basically, it computes everything together of all of the first letter, the second letter, and I'm basically putting all of my complaint all in here together. So you want to basically say, hey, I'm filing a complaint against X company for failing to remove a charge off after issuing a 1099-C is basically what you're saying. You're going to cite the laws here. You previously disputed in writing on X date and they still didn't do it. You followed up and they still didn't do it. That's basically what you're doing here. So I actually gave you the complaint summary. You can always rewrite this if you like, and by putting it into like Chat GPT or something like that and ask them to rewrite it. But I just gave it to you here. Okay. And lastly, the last couple of steps here, upload your supporting documents. When it asks you to upload, this is where most people mess up, okay? Do not forget to upload all of the information, your 1099-C form, copy your credit report showing it's incorrect, copy of the previous dispute letters. This is for the CFPB, okay? Your mail receipts, okay? And any emails or correspondence that they sent you, okay? Don't forget that. That is more people miss out on this part after they did all that work. They don't actually upload this to the CFPB. Step 5, after you submit the complaint, click the submit button, okay? Say, after you submit the complaint, click submit and save the complaint reference number. It's going to give you a track number. And the CFPB is going to tell everybody 15 to 60 days. But again, you want to always go back to you can find out faster information on Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, okay? You can get a much faster answer by going right to the Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, okay? Instead of the CFPB, okay? And last one here, oops. The last thing here, what happens next? If the creditor must respond to the CFPB 15 to 60 days, that's just their generic answer. I wanted to go here. If the CFP rules in favor, the creditor will be forced to update or remove the charge. If the creditor fails to comply, you can escalate further by suing for damages under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Okay, as you see, it didn't say if the CFPB does not favor, right? It says if the CFPB rules in favor, the creditor will be forced to update or remove the charge off. So basically, let's see here. There we go. Basically, what I'm saying is on that, let me see here. How do I put my, there we go. All right. Basically, what that simply means is with the CFPB, if you notice, when the CFPB doesn't say they're gonna side with them. Why? Because whenever you got that 1099-C, that's your money. That's money in the bank. So go ahead, watch video 1. I'll go ahead and post it here. Go ahead and under video in the descriptions, I'll go ahead and post it there. But again, Go ahead, get into the community as well. I only shake hands with my destiny if you shake hands with your destiny. Let's get it. Let's go.